Hello mga kababayan, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Laruan ni Obi-Wan. So from the live adaptation of The Witcher, which is produced by Netflix, the action figure we have for review today is Geralt of Rivia, produced by Mcfarlane Toys and distributed by Target. Now the question is it worth the price point for the purchase of this figure? So let us discover. Basic components of the purchase of this Geralt of Rivia action figure. Of course, we have the Geralt action figure, we have the sword, we have the hooded cape, and we have an action figure stand with the Witcher logo and the Netflix logo. So let's first tackle the total height of the action figure, considering that Mcfarlane Toys also produces DC Multiverse action figures. So how tall is this action figure really? So let's take out the tape measure. So it is around the 7-inch mark. So this action figure comes with a soft goods cape or hooded cape. So the cape actually nicely sits on the shoulders up to the feet of the figure, and the hood depends on how you arrange those ties, is going to sit accordingly to the head of the figure. Now if you're going to use or tie a knot at the front of the figure, it's going to be not aesthetically good. Okay, but if you just tie the knot on the back of the figure, run the cords at the armpits and tie it around the sword sheath, then the knots won't be visible up front, and you have a very clean surface area where the cape would just sit on top of the shoulders, and you could just arrange how you would want to make it look like. So if you want a hooded effect like this, is it possible and it still maintains its shape? Or if you want the hood down, it is also possible. And the cape sits nicely on the shoulders of the figure. So just a quick turn around of the figure, and we will always have that hump over here because that is the sword sheath that is hanging on the back or is attached to the back of the figure by these harnesses. So if you are just interested or you are wondering how to employ that cape, so this is possibly the best way to do it. So I was happy to see this action figure at my local Target. Of course, I was a fan of the Witcher TV series. I have watched it already. And I wanted my Geralt of Rivia action figure. And I was looking at the bunch, picking the best action figure in the lot, the one with the least blemishes and the perfect head sculpt. So I was really very particular with the head sculpt because, of course, just like the other toy collectors were also looking at this figure, I was listening to them and they were talking about the likeness to Henry Cavill. But I approached the head sculpt differently, considering that I wanted a Geralt of Rivia head sculpt, not much of the actor Henry Cavill. So while inside packaging, I gave this head sculpt something of a 60 to 70% likeness to the character played by Henry Cavill, Geralt of Rivia. Now that I have the figure on hand, I could say that it is 100% likeness to Geralt of Rivia, played by Henry Cavill. So of course we know that Henry Cavill wore a wig and very heavy makeup to resemble the character in the TV series. So good job, Mcfarlane Toys, with bringing this head sculpt on par with the TV series. So this is more Geralt of Rivia, less of Henry Cavill, and this is the Witcher that we know in the TV series. Let us first discuss the details on the action figure. So we have already done with the cape and the head sculpt of this action figure. Now let's consider everything that is on it, the details per se, and the articulation points we'll discuss later. Okay, so much of the details on this action figure would really rest on the upper half of the body. Now the lower half, the legs and the feet, would just be really plain Jane. So as you could see up close and personal, the lower half is just leather pants and leather boots. So nothing much to really say about the details on the lower half, except it resembles the one that we know of in the TV series. Upper half is nicely detailed. So let's take the head sculpt off of view and just consider the body armor. So the body armor is inspired by a Japanese samurai body armor. Some hints of it is not actually a samurai body armor, but hints of a samurai body armor. Now this does not resemble any of the traditional medieval body armor, which is a really hard steel body armor, but this is more just like in the TV series, leather-like with texturing on the surface. So texturing on the surface over here, texturing on the foreguards, on the bicep guards, on the shoulder guards, the back. So it looks like textured leather taken from possibly a monster that he slayed, and he took the hide and fashioned it to a leather body armor of some sort. So that is just my guess, but it looks like it. Now the armor ends on the waistline of the figure, so it does not cover the soft goods or the butt. So just like in the TV series, okay, so it is accurate. So he also has leather gloves on, and we have the sword. So the sword also has the emblem on it, just like in the TV series, and detail on the hilt, on the protectors, the hand protectors, and we have inscription on the blade. So it is also visible on the other side of the sword. So we also have some inscriptions over there. Now, but the belt buckles for the sword is also painted, so gold paint, and on the pins or the metal pins that holds the two harnesses together, it's also painted. Some details on the leather harness and the belt, and it runs to the back of the figure, and we finally have the sword sheath. So the sword sheath would also have some weathering on it. This is where weathering would show, because we have scratch marks on the sword sheath. So the the business end of the sword sheath, of the sword I mean, is the only one that is covered by this scabbard. So the remaining half is actually exposed, giving the character some space to really wiggle that sword on the scabbard. Especially, it's going to be a hard thing to really sheath this broadsword considering that it is back carry. So actually nice touch on the manufacturer and designer of this action figure, Mcfarlane Toys. Yeah, really shares the likeness to Geralt of Rivia, the character that we have in the Witcher TV series. Now the thing that I would have a really big gripe on is with regards to the medallion, because the medallion is not a separate piece from the body armor. Considering that we are paying quite a nice price tag on this action figure, I would have expected a medallion that is separate or an accessory, not a molded design on the body armor, which this is. So that is a molded medallion on the body armor, so you can take that off. So if you take these straps out, if you cut them with an X-Acto knife, you would just leave a small area wherein the necklace of the medallion would stop. So yeah, I would have wanted that medallion to be a separate accessory, considering that it only comes with a sword, a base, and a cape. So additional accessories like that medallion, extra pairs possibly of hands, considering that you are paying $30 for this action figure. An ungloved hand would have been a welcome accessory. And even if it is not a gloved hand, an extra black gloved hand with expression like features, for example splayed fingers, would have been a nice addition to this action figure. With regards to articulation, don't expect much articulation on the head, because the head is hindered by that really big full head of hair. So no head tilts on this, no looking upwards, only downwards is possible, and the head tilts downward is not even that great. You could possibly move the head left and right, but that is going to be a really awesome task, because the hair would be rubbing against the textured pieces of the shoulder armor. So good luck with that. If you pose this action figure constantly trying to change positions, trying to get the best pose for this action figure, somehow you would end up scraping off the possibly the texturing on this shoulder armor. So you have a nice head sculpt of Geralt of Rivia, but a really lousy head sculpt for action poses. Now, I get the other reviews regarding this figure that they kind of look like short and stocky because of the thickness of the body armor, the width. So the width of the body armor is really wide, but if you could really watch the TV series, the armor is also this thick. So considering also that the shoulder pads are also thick, and you have a full head of hair, so this figure would really look squat while it is still in packaging. And even if you take it out of the box, somehow your eyes would have to adjust to the details of the action figure, and later you would realize actually that the proportions are just okay compared to the Netflix TV series character. So that is a trade-off between, if you want a really accurate depiction of Geralt of Rivia, then here you go. But if you want a very poseable figure, this is not it. This is more statue-like, with a little bit points of articulation on the arms. So much of the articulation is on the arms and on the legs. Not much bends on the torso or the body area, even if I feel some kind of articulation point over here. Bending this figure forwards, bending it backwards is just not possible. But we have a ball on the waistline, just like your DC Multiverse action figures, wherein moving the torso around, even if you hold on to the waistline, moving the torso around is possible. Some circular movements even, but you would hear that rubbing of plastic to plastic. So that is the articulation point for the torso or the body. So not really much over here, not really much posability on this area, two areas, the head and the body. But for the arms, we have nicely articulating shoulders because it is on a butterfly joint. So we have biceps circulation. We have 2 points of 2 points of articulation on the elbow. So we have 2 pins over here. The hands is on a ball, so don't think that it is a hinge. It is on a ball with a swivel point. It is just covered by the forearm guards. So much on the details that is really placed on this figure is to try to hide the fact that we have joints over here. So it is I found it hard to really locate the pin joints. So we have pin joints over there, and the most welcoming part, I hope that Mcfarlane would even use this on their DC Multiverse action figures, which we have a thigh cut over here for rotation of the thighs. So woo, Mcfarlane for putting that articulation point on this Geralt of Rivia action figure, but skipping it on DC Multiverse action figures. So, but anyway, if it is already available or is present in this action figure, maybe in the future it's going to be an available articulation point with other DC Multiverse action figures. I hope and pray so. So, with regards to the feet, he could move the feet upwards this way. He could move the feet, not the feet, but the legs. He could move the legs as far that way because the briefs is made of a soft rubbery material. So it's possible to really give him high back kicks like this. And we have double joints on the knees. We don't have any cut on the boot area for boot circulation, but we have a ball on the foot for articulation. So ball and a swivel point. We also have toe articulation for the feet. So just as I said earlier, much of the articulation points is on the appendages of this action figure, not much on the head, and less of course on the body. But with regards to detail, if this is the Geralt of Rivia that you know in the Witcher TV series, yes it is. But with regards to total design and effect, I think that this figure still has a lot to go in terms of design. So somehow, if they Mcfarlane could produce this toy once again, this time giving us extra accessories like the medallion, a separate piece, extra pairs of hands, may even just one additional pair would be okay. And with regards to the hair, you could position this hair to a certain point that articulation is possible. So looking downwards, looking backwards, and some head tilts would be possible. Just remold the hair, which I think I'm going to do after this review. I'll be trying to subject this head sculpt to maybe a minute of my hair dryer, so I could remold this back area over here, so I could free some space so I'd be able to move this head around. Okay, so this ends my review of this action figure, and I hope this serves as a good guide for those who wish to purchase this action figure if you're really a die-hard fan of the Witcher TV series at Netflix. So once again, this is your Laruan de Obi-Wan, reminding you to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you on the next review.